Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Rough Draft of Randomness podcast. I am your host, the DMan. This is our 4th episode. On this, our journey through roughly 300 to 400 mystery comic books. That's right. If you haven't watched yet, go check out our channel. We got 3 unboxing videos, 4th one dropping soon if it hasn't dropped already. I'm pre-recording some of these episodes, so I'm ahead of the game. Right now, only episode 1 is up and live on the YouTube channel at DMan. At DMan on YouTube and Instagram. Hit me up, check me out. I post reels, I post shorts, I post podcasts. I post random stuff. I post videos from VidCon. I post videos of me making random trick shot putts. I'm an all over the place nerd. I'm random. And you're listening to the Rough Draft of Randomness podcast. You already know that because I already said that. I just drank some coffee. So this is a highly caffeinated episode.
Let's go. Tell us, what comics do you have in store for us today?
Oh, what's that? Did you see there's some comics behind me? These are the comics we got in store for you today, Venom.
Well, tell the lucky viewers what we have.
Today, we'll be discussing from our 3 mystery comic box, DC, Marvel, and independent themed comic boxes. 1, we got Wolverine. Issue number 2 from the Marvel Now reboot series. Because you know Marvel, they like to reboot every now and again. But
Stick to the comics, dude. Not the comedy.
We got Bloodshot Reborn, number 1. From Valiant Comics. Had to double check. And we got The Adventures of Superman. Issue 519. Oh, don't worry. You'll get a closer look at these covers soon enough. Now, I've done this podcast a couple different random ways. The first episode, should you have been so lucky to have watched it, if you haven't, it's on that YouTube channel. Go check it out. Give it a like. Give it a subscribe. Well, give this a subscribe and like too. Hey. Alright. There's going to be a lot of random shameless promotion, but it's kind of poking fun of itself, just FYI. Every time I go, hey, like and subscribe, it's kind of mocking the whole like and subscribe thing, if you know what I'm saying. Sarcasm. It's kind of the undertone of this whole entire podcast. And don't worry, I only keep your attention for about 20 minutes, then I let you go. Then you're dismissed, okay? This is an hour-long podcast where I just ranting.
Enough.
Alright, so let's get into it. I'm rocking the Wolverine shirt. I read Wolverine first. So let's go with No, I'm just kidding. With Wolverine. Bait switch would have been fun, though. Alright, so we got Wolverine, issue number 2! From the Marvel Now reboot, which is around 2013, according to the ad, at least at the end, which was 5/8/13 for the next issue. So, this is one of those issues that is also a to be continued / we don't get the end of the story in this one. One of the comics I read today actually did have an end. The other was actually the beginning. So, they were pretty interesting. This one was just as interesting, however, it left you hanging. Because this was issue 2 of 4 of the saga hunting season. So it's interesting. Apparently, Wolverine was just hanging out at the mall. And then all of a sudden, all this chaos went off and this dude started shooting people with this crazy laser gun. And he took him down. Because he was trying to save his son, too. The guy's son, not Logan's son. So Wolverine, apparently, this is all in the precursor little text on the first page. Basically, he saves this kid. This kid, grabs the gun, turns on Logan, starts shooting the cops, starts shooting Logan. Now, Logan's gotta get this kid who's got this crazy gun, who kind of looks like a ray gun, basically. And basically, Logan has determined that the ray gun is taking control of this kid's mind. Because this kid and anybody else who's had possession of this gun smelled sick. Because Logan has those heightened senses. Logan was able to survive the initial attack from the father because obviously his regenerative abilities. Everybody else got disintegrated. So this kid's now kind of keeping an eye on Logan, trying to figure out where he is. And then he decides he's going to basically bring him to him by start shooting people, blasting. And now Logan's on the scent. Wolverine's hunting for this little kid, meets him up on this rooftop, goes like, no, you need to stop. Now, who am I really talking to anyway? Because I know this isn't the kid. This isn't Adam. I believe the name was Adam. And he's like, oh, it's interesting, this nature. And so he actually jumps off the roof because whoever's in possession of him was just like, screw this, I'm going to kill myself. Because I'm going to call him either Wolverine or Logan. So Wolgan is what I almost just said. So Wolverine, just before he jumped off the roof, the kid was about to blast him. Wolverine hit the gun out of his hands with a wrench. The gun went flying off the roof. So the kid now in possession of the kid, the dude in possession of the kid basically was like, well, I didn't have no use for him anymore. Was going to jump off the roof. Threw and jumped the kid off the roof. Logan jumped in after him and saved him. He basically did the tuck and drag where he basically absorbed all the impact while the kid didn't. And then the kid comes to on the ER medical bench or gurney and looks at Wolverine. He's like, what happened? Last I remember is my dad in the mall. And then he looks at Wolverine and goes, hey, you! Hey! Starts crying because last he remembers is Wolverine killing his dad. And then Wolverine's like, oh, son of a... I do all this to save the kid, and, now he thinks I'm the worst guy ever. Well, now some hillbilly grabs the gun, and he's about to start blasting. And then Nick Fury jumps out of the sky. He goes, I got this. And blasts him. And then Wolverine's about to snag the blast, the ray gun out of the sky as it starts floating by, and it just floats past him. Luckily, Fury's like, oh, my car is going to track it. And his smart little car just starts tracking the gun. And so then Nick Fury makes a joke to Wolverine. Well, basically being Paul McCartney, which one of your bands do you want to get together to kind of handle this one? Since he's kind of part of the Avengers, he's part of the X-Men. He has a whole bunch of crews he's associated with. Mr. Logan Fly Solo has made a good amount of friends. And then he says, I'm not sure yet. And on the last page, we have a Watcher appear. And then Wolverine goes, well, now I know it's serious. I'm sorry. Now I know we're in trouble. Dun, dun, dun. And that's the end of that issue. So, it was a very interesting issue, very action-packed. A lot of little kid blasting people, incinerating them, which is interesting. Then obviously Wolverine having to hold back restraint because he can't go his usual tactics and it's a little kid. He's not trying to kill the kid, he's just trying to unpossess him. That was Wolverine from the Marvel Mystery Comic Box. Now, next one that I read was Bloodshot Reborn, #1. So there's a movie of Bloodshot. I have not watched it, full disclosure. But apparently it's starring Vin Diesel as Bloodshot. I believe it's the original storyline, not this, which is a rebirth of the character. I don't know. It could be an inclusion of both the original storyline and this storyline. So this, Bloodshot is apparently his character who had these nanites injected into him, like thousands, 10,000 nanites. I'm trying to flip in the page really quick to find the name. I read it like 2 times, last night and this morning. And I was like, Project Rising Spirit. I gotta remember that one. Project Rising Spirit. That's an important name to remember. And then I hit record, and I'm sitting here in front of this video, and I forgot the name. Oh well. At least I have it right here, so I can just read it really quick. And I could have acted like I remembered it the whole time, and you weren't even paying attention. I could have been like, Project Rising Spirit. Gee, I remembered. But it's interesting because these nanites, check the YouTube if you want to see it. Basically, it shows an example of him getting blasted exactly through the brain, hole in the head, and then the nanites reconfigure his head, and he's healed all up. Gunshot wound gone. Well, I guess he was basically a contract killer for these people. No heart, nothing, he just killed. What's the mission? Here's the mission. Alright, execute mission. Essentially is what he describes himself as. He was a heartless killer that couldn't be defeated. And then, of course, like every ruthless killer who loses his edge, what happened?
He met a girl.
Yep, met a girl. Apparently some chick named Kay. She was a geomancer. And then instead, he was unable to save her. He had all this power. He finally had something to fight for. Finally had something to save. And he couldn't save her. And he lost her. But on her deathbed, basically, as she was dying, she gave him the gift because she saw in him something more than the white. So Bloodshot was all white, red circle on his chest. So that's what he looked like. And he red eyes. But she said, I see past your red eyes. I see your humanity still, essentially. And so she gave him the gift and got rid of the nanites. Cut to real life now, which is a few months, I think, after this happened, essentially, in the storyline. He's a maintenance man at this condo place, this rundown condo, who basically, there's a widow there, didn't have anybody to do the maintenance. He came by, hey, let me live there rent-free, and I'll do the maintenance stuff. So he keeps himself busy during the day, doing menial tasks, while at night he's haunted by all the memories of Bloodshot. And it starts showing early on this weird little like animated character that's kind of an animated version of Bloodshot, which appears when this kid in the front room is playing video games. And he pauses and looks at it for a second, and the kid's like, what? Like, nothing. And he walks off. Well, the one widow lady keeps bugging about this door that's squeaky. You gotta fix this squeaky door. And then finally, he goes in there in the lobby the next morning. Hey, I'm gonna work on this door. Oh my god, have you seen the news? Apparently there's this imposter Bloodshot. Somebody dressed all in white paint with the red on the chest, went through, killed a bunch of civilians, kids too. So then he's sitting there in his hotel getting tormented. The night before he was getting tormented, he actually got visited by Kay. I don't know if it was the real Kay or if it was him being delusional. It doesn't quite clarify, but this character named Kay visited him at his hotel, says, we need Bloodshot back. I gave you a chance at life again. I gave you a chance at being a man again, and this is what you do with it? You're a custodian in a rundown little condo place? This is a waste. So, cut to the next morning. Again, he sees the news with the owner, the widow, runs back to his hotel, and he starts basically getting this whole back and forth between that little blood squirt, the little animated character version of him, and then he's like, you know what we need to do? Bloodshot needs to come back. And then at the end, we see him don a black shirt with the red circle, basically embracing that he's going to be Bloodshot again. But he doesn't have the nanites. So we'll see how this goes. And that was Bloodshot Reborn. A quick glance for anybody actually peeping the YouTube at the one DMan. Here is the creepy animated character. Let's flip to it. Yeah, there you go. creepy animated version of Bloodshot, aka Blood Squirt, is what he calls himself. But basically, it's his inner demon, and then there he is. Bloodshot is back. So there we go. That was our Marvel. That was our Independent. And now, on to the DC. And of course, who is the heavy hitters in DC? Well, we did Batman. But we haven't done... Superman. So this one, as I caffeinate further, was The Adventures of Superman, Dead Again, issue 519. And this one was Superman versus Brainiac. This was action-packed, through and through. Like, from the start, bang, starts with action. Starts with Brainiac and Superman in the heat of battle. Brainiac trying to attack Lois. Lois was like, this is just whatever. Tries to jump out of his hands. Falls. Everyone's like, oh no, you're about to fall through this crack. The crack on the ground was just an illusion, not a real crack. And he's like, of course. She's like, of course it's another one of your tricks, Brainiac. All you are is an illusion, essentially. And then Superman basically is all miffed because, Brainiac's attacking this girl. He ain't gonna stand for that. So he starts beating down on Brainiac. And then Brainiac pulls this card out of his back pocket and was like, oh, you're not gonna battle me. You're gonna battle him. And Superman turns around and there's a Superman basically that was laying on this table. He's like, when I was in this coma, Brainiac's explaining, when I was in this coma, all I could think about and all I wanted was the death of Superman. And my subconscious manifested in it. And I was able to control it. So now, Superman, you're going to be taken down by a dead man. The dead version of yourself. And at first, this clone mimic version of Superman has shorter hair. This Superman has like longer hair, like Fabio locks, The other one that was the death of Superman version, the Brainiac version, had shorter hair. And so those two start battling. Well, somehow in the midst of the battling, the Brainiac version grew out his hair, or he's like, well, maybe this would be good. Maybe Brainiac tricked it, basically, to have the long hair and the same hair as Superman. So we get the classic, which one's the real Superman moment? And so Lois has a moment where she tries to figure it out, basically says, if basically the world's about to end, who will you save? The one says basically that it's impossible, that won't happen with me around Lois. The other one says, you, Lois. And then she points at the one that says, you, Lois, and says, you're the imposter, essentially. And so they are about to grab him. Then Brainiac's like, no, it's over. When I say it's over. And he runs and goes through the fake Superman and absorbs his power. And he's like, if I can't beat you mentally, I'm going to beat you physically. And starts trying to throw a beat down on Superman, which only goes so well for so long, as you would know, and as we'd assume. So Superman eventually gets the beat down on Brainiac, says, see, the thing about you, Brainiac, the thing why you're never going to rise to power is because deep down, you're still Milton. You're still that little illusionist Brainiac who worked at the carnival, Milton, which starts breaking down his ego. And Superman beats through his shield, and right is Superman's about to deliver the final blow, knocks him out. Brainiac wakes up and he's like, Superman's like, here, it's over, Brainiac. He's like, oh, you know me? I'm just Milton. I work at this, carnival. I'm so impressed that you know me, or whatever, And so basically he's acting like he's just himself, Milton. Nah, Brainiac. And then you see in the reflection that he sees in his mind's eye himself as Milton, not as this green Brainiac character. And then they kind of explain later, well, so his brain really didn't want himself to lose and want Brainiac to lose to Superman, so he deluded himself so much so where he just believed he was Milton, and Milton, mild, normal human, lost to Superman. And there's no way that Brainiac could have lost to Superman.
I could take on Brainiac.
I'm sure you could, Venom. I'm sure you could. So, that was The Adventures of Superman, Brainiac. It was really good. That was a fun one. And it concluded. Another thing that I thoroughly enjoyed. I like the random issues and whatnot like that, but every once in a while when it keeps ending on these to be continued, it's like, I don't want to have to now go search eBay. But that's not all I have for you today. While I had these wonderful 3 mystery comics that were from our mystery comic boxes, I also got a couple variant covers of a very special comic that I enjoyed thoroughly. So let me show them to you real quick. So, I'm recording this the day after the death of Slim Shady came out. Coup de grace, I think is why I started to do curse, I don't know. But, I mean, essentially the curse of Slim Shady, because it's all about him battling his demon of Slim Shady and Marshall vs. Shady. I love it. I'm an Eminem fan. I've been an Eminem fan since like day one. Slim Shady LP was like one of the very first albums I ever bought from Warehouse Music. Shout out to anybody who actually knows who Warehouse is. I was like an alternate to Blockbuster. What's Blockbuster? Yeah, I know, okay? I'm old. But that means I got money, so I can buy cool comics. Ha ha ha! Like this. This is an Eminem variant cover by Jordan Noir from Jam's Fortress and Tidal Wave Productions. So this was the first cover. It's actually foil. So it actually features basically a Eminem in the Rat Boy outfit, essentially dead on stage with an opened up curtains to a silhouette of the city with the Eminem E in the sky. I'm doing description for the audio listeners. And this one doesn't really need much description. This is an Amazing Spider-Man 300 homage cover with a Venomized Eminem in the center. It's just badass. Like I said,
I love Venom.
And I love Eminem. So,
his palms sweaty, knees weak, arms heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti. He's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down.
Alright, enough. We can't do the rapping in the Venom voice. That is just too harsh on the ears. I've won karaoke contests doing Eminem songs before. That's how much I love Eminem. Eminems. M&M's? And not just the nuts. Random! See, this is what happens when I go to 20 minutes. Okay, but I actually did read this, by the way. The Eminem comic by Orbit, by Tidal Wave Productions. Give anybody their shout-outs. I don't know why I'm giving them shout-outs. I paid for it full price. It's not like y'all give me a discount. But, you know, future purchases, I'm giving you a shout-out. So this is basically written in the form of a letter from Stan. The Stan from the original comic, or song. Basically, it's an updated version, an updated letter to M saying how awesome it is, highlighting some of his career, like highlights, and just illustrating some of his career, actually all of his career from his rise to the fall, not really fall, but from his rise to now, essentially. It was cool. It was really well made. It was really well illustrated. And I recommend it. I mean, it's a badass piece to add to your mantle. It's a venomized Eminem. What do I have to tell you people?
Buy it.
This is not a paid promotion. Ring. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I've gone over my 20 minutes. I promise you I'd always take up 20 minutes of your time. I took up about 26. But hey, that's how randomness goes. We go from bounce to bounce to bounce to peace out. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, and if you're down